The conference room floated in the darkness of space, a massive station where the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered. Ambassador Krella stood before the Galactic Council, his forearms spread wide in frustration. His purple skin darkened with anger as he spoke. 200 years, he said, his voice echoing through the chamber. For 200 years we have watched that blue planet. For 200 years it has been silent, completely silent. The council members shifted in their seats. There were 47 different species represented in this room. Some breathed oxygen, others methane. Some had scales, others had fur, skin, or crystalline bodies. But they all shared one thing: confusion about Earth. Council Speaker Marana, a tall being made of flowing energy, responded calmly. The protocols are clear, Ambassador. We do not interfere with developing worlds until they reach out to us. They did reach out. Krellick slammed one fist on the podium. Their radio waves filled space for nearly 2 centuries. They broadcast their culture, their wars, their music. We studied them. We learned their languages. We prepared for contact. And then in the year 2087, by their calendar, everything stopped. Every transmission, every signal gone. The chamber filled with murmurs. The mystery of Earth's silence had been debated for decades. Some species believed humanity had destroyed itself in a nuclear war. Others thought a plague had wiped them out. A few suggested they had simply evolved past the need for radio communication. Perhaps they are dead, offered Counselor Thresh, a being covered in thick armor plates. Their silence could be the silence of extinction. No, Krellick said firmly. Our long-range sensors still detect life. Billions of life signs. Cities still function. Lights still glow at night. But no ships leave their system. No messages are sent. They have deliberately gone silent. Then we must respect that choice, Marana insisted. Krellick's eyes narrowed. Respect? That system sits on one of the richest mineral belts in this sector. 3 habitable planets. Countless asteroids full of rare elements. And we are supposed to just let it sit there unused because a species that might be dying chooses to ignore us? The first contact protocols exist for a reason, another counselor added. We have seen what happens when advanced civilizations interfere too soon. Wars, cultural collapse, extinction. And what if they are preparing for something? Krellick asked quietly. The room fell silent. What if their silence is not isolation but preparation? Marana's energy form flickered with concern. Preparation for what? For us, Krellick said. Think about it. They knew we were watching. Their scientists had detected our observation posts. What if they went silent to hide what they were doing? What if right now they are building weapons we cannot imagine? The murmurs grew louder. Fear was a powerful tool, and Krellick knew how to use it. I propose an intervention, he continued. A humanitarian mission. We enter their system peacefully, with a small fleet. We make contact. We offer help. If they are dying, we save them. If they are hiding, we show them they have nothing to fear. And if they are preparing for war? He paused dramatically. Then we need to know. The debate lasted for hours. Species after species voiced their opinions. Some agreed with Krellick. Others called him a warmonger. But in the end, fear won. The council voted to send a fleet to Earth. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, far from the political debates of the Galactic Council, Earth continued its silent vigil. The planet looked peaceful from space. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Cities glowed at night like scattered jewels. Ships moved between Earth, Mars, and the asteroid belt, but none ventured beyond the edge of their solar system. In the United Earth Assembly building in Geneva, Secretary General Amara Okonkwo sat in her office reviewing reports. A young aide entered, his face pale. Ma'am, the observation posts have detected movement. The council fleet is forming. Amara looked up from her desk. She was a woman in her 60s with gray hair and dark skin that bore the lines of a lifetime of service. Her eyes were calm but sharp. How many ships? She asked. 500, ma'am. They're organizing at the border of our system. Amara nodded slowly. So they finally decided to come. After 200 years of watching us like we were animals in a zoo, they're coming to visit. Should we activate the defense grid? No, Amara said calmly. Let them come. Let them land. Let them think they know what they're walking into. The aide looked confused. Ma'am, shouldn't we prepare? Amara smiled, a cold smile that didn't reach her eyes. We've been preparing for 200 years. Since the day we detected their surveillance network. Since the day we realized we were not alone, and that those watching us saw us as primitives. We went silent not because we were afraid. We went silent because we had work to do. She stood and walked to the window looking out over the city. They think our silence means we're weak or dying or hiding. They're wrong on all counts. We went quiet because we were busy. And now they're going to find out exactly what we've been busy doing. The aide swallowed hard. What are your orders, ma'am? Prepare the welcome protocols, Amara said. Let them land. Let them talk. Let them make their demands. And when they do, we'll show them why humanity chose silence over submission. In the darkness beyond Earth's solar system, the Galactic Council fleet began its approach, 500 ships, carrying the might of 47 species, moving toward a planet that had been silent for 2 centuries. None of them knew what awaited them. None of them understood that silence was not weakness. It was patience, and humanity's patience was about to end. The Galactic Council fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. 500 warships, each carrying thousands of soldiers and crew, hung in the darkness like a metal constellation. Admiral Vextar, a seasoned military commander with 6 eyes and silver scales, stood on the bridge of the flagship. All ships maintain formation, he ordered. Weapons powered, but shields only. We are here for peaceful contact, but we will defend ourselves if needed. Sir, detecting energy signatures ahead. The sensor officer reported. Multiple objects. They're just floating there. On the main screen, dozens of structures appeared. They were geometric shapes, perfect spheres and cubes floating in the void. They didn't move. They didn't transmit. They just watched. What are those? Vextar asked. Unknown, sir. They're not transmitting any signals. But they're tracking us. Every single one is pointed directly at our fleet. Ambassador Krelix, who was aboard the flagship, stepped forward. Defensive satellites, perhaps? Primitive warning systems? They don't match any technology in our databases, the officer replied nervously. And sir, they're not just tracking us. They're tracking each individual ship perfectly. The targeting precision is impossible. Vextar felt a chill run down his spine. Can we destroy them? We could try, but Admiral, there are thousands of them throughout the system. If we attack, it might be seen as an act of war. Proceed with caution, Vextar ordered. Continue toward the 3rd planet. The fleet moved deeper into the solar system. The structures, which humanity called sentinels, tracked every movement. Not a single shot was fired, but every ship in the Council fleet felt the weight of those invisible eyes watching them. As they approached Earth, the planet's beauty struck many of the Council members. The blues and greens were vibrant, the atmosphere clear. Cities covered the continents, connected by lights that glowed even in daylight. This was no dead world. This was a thriving civilization. Attempting communication, the communications officer announced. Broadcasting in all known Earth languages. No response. Keep trying, Krelix ordered. Finally, a message came through. A simple text transmission. You may land at the designated coordinates. Geneva, European sector. Come unarmed. The fleet sent down a delegation of 100 representatives. They landed in a massive plaza outside the United Earth Assembly building. Crowds of humans watched from behind barriers, their faces showing not fear but curiosity and something else. Disdain, perhaps, as if the aliens were an annoyance rather than a threat. The council delegation was led into the assembly chamber. It was a magnificent room with seats arranged in a circle, large enough to hold thousands. But only a few dozen humans sat there, watching the aliens with calm expressions. Secretary General Amara Okonkwo stood at the center podium. She wore a simple blue suit, no weapons, no armor. Beside her stood Dr. James Chen, the head of Earth's Science Directorate, and General Marcus Webb, commander of Earth's Defense Forces. Welcome to Earth, Amara said in perfect galactic common, the language used by the Council. Several ambassadors looked surprised that she spoke it flawlessly. We have been expecting you. Krelix stepped forward, his forearms spread in what his species considered a peaceful gesture. Greetings, people of Earth. We are representatives of the Galactic Council, a union of 47 species dedicated to peace and prosperity. We have been observing your world for some time, and we were concerned when your transmissions ceased. We come in peace to establish formal relations. Amara's expression didn't change. You have been observing us without permission for over 200 years. You studied us like laboratory animals. You learned our languages, our cultures, our weaknesses, and now, after we made it clear we wanted no contact by ceasing all outward communication, you come here with 500 warships and call it peace? The chamber fell silent. Krellick's skin darkened with embarrassment. The fleet is merely a precaution. We meant no offense. A precaution against what? Dr. Chen asked, his voice cold. Against us. You brought enough firepower to level a planet and you call it a precaution? We did not know what we would find, Admiral Vexitar interjected. Your silence was concerning. Our silence was a choice, Amara replied. One you chose to ignore. Tell me, Ambassador, what gives the Galactic Council the right to decide when and how species make contact? What gives you the authority to enter our system uninvited? Krellix bristled. The Council has maintained peace in this galaxy for over 10,000 years. We have rules, protocols, systems of governance that have prevented countless wars. Every species must eventually join the galactic community. It is the natural order. Natural order, Amara repeated, her voice filled with ice. How convenient for those who made the rules. Tell me, in your 10,000 years of peace, how many species were absorbed into your council? How many lost their independence in exchange for your protection? We offer partnership, not conquest. Mirana's voice came through a holographic projector, as her energy form could not survive in Earth's atmosphere. We seek only cooperation. Then you should have waited for us to reach out to you, General Webb said firmly. But you didn't. You came here to our home because you couldn't stand not knowing what we were doing. Because you saw our resources and wanted access to them. Because you thought we were weak, Krellix's patience snapped. You speak boldly for a species that has never left its own solar system. You hide behind your silence and think yourself strong, but you are nothing compared to the might of the Council. We are offering you a chance to join civilization. I suggest you take it. Is that a threat? Amara asked quietly. It is reality, Krellix replied. Accept our offer or remain isolated. Those are your options. I see, Amara said. She looked at Dr. Chen and nodded. Ambassador Krellix, Chen said calmly, you fired a warning shot at our moon base as your fleet entered the system. A plasma bolt from your flagship meant to demonstrate your power. Krellix looked surprised. How did you? We detected it instantly, Chen continued. We also stopped it. The bolt is currently suspended in a quantum stasis field approximately 47,000 kilometers from its target. Would you like us to return it to you, or should we dispose of it? The Council delegation erupted in confusion and disbelief. Vextar pulled up his tactical display and his 6 eyes widened in shock. Chen was right. The plasma bolt hung frozen in space, completely stopped. That's impossible, Vextar whispered. No species has that technology. Amara smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. You came to Earth expecting to find primitives or corpses. You found neither. You came with threats and demands. That was your first mistake. Your second mistake was thinking our silence meant we were standing still. She pressed a button on the podium. The walls of the assembly chamber became transparent, showing the sky above. The council members gasped. Hundreds of ships hung in orbit above Earth. Sleek black vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. We didn't hide because we feared you, Amara said softly. We went silent because we were busy. And now, Ambassador, you're going to learn exactly what 200 years of uninterrupted human innovation looks like. Outside, the sentinels began to glow with a soft blue light. Every single one, thousands of them throughout the solar system all at once. The Council fleet suddenly realized they weren't the predators in this scenario. They were the prey. The Council scientists worked frantically aboard their ships, analyzing the plasma bolt that hung frozen in space. Dr. Earl, one of the galaxy's foremost experts in weapons technology, stared at the readings with all 3 of his eyes wide in disbelief. This is not possible, he muttered, his tentacles trembling. The energy signature is completely stable. The bolt is locked in a quantum stasis field, but the field itself requires no external power source. It's sustaining itself through some kind of dimensional folding I've never seen before. Admiral Vextar stood behind him, his scales now a pale silver with stress. Can we break through it? Break through it? Earl turned to face him. Admiral, I don't even understand how they created it. This technology is centuries beyond anything in the Council database. Maybe millennia. Back in Geneva, the Council delegation sat in stunned silence as Dr. James Chen began his presentation. Holographic displays filled the air, showing equations, diagrams, and video footage. In 2087, when we detected your observation network, Chen began. Speaking in a calm, professional tone, we faced a choice. We could continue broadcasting into space, advertising our location and capabilities to unknown observers. Or we could go silent and use that silence to our advantage. He gestured, and the hologram showed Earth's timeline over the past 2 centuries. We chose silence. We chose preparation. We initiated what we called the Prometheus Initiative, named after the ancient human myth of stealing fire from the gods. Ambassador Krelix watched with growing horror as Chen explained. The human's casual tone made it worse somehow. He spoke of revolutionary technology the way one might discuss a new recipe. First, we advanced our quantum computing capabilities far beyond what you observed in our early broadcasts, Chen continued. We created computers that don't just process information. They process reality itself, manipulating probability at the quantum level. The hologram shifted, showing a human brain connected to streams of light. Next, we developed consciousness interfacing. The human brain is remarkably adaptable. We found ways to connect it directly to our systems, allowing thought-speed control of technology. What you would need a crew of hundreds to operate, we can control with a single mind. Counselor Thresh, the armored being, spoke up. You created cyborgs? Merged flesh with machine? No, Chen said, shaking his head. Nothing so crude. We didn't change our bodies. We enhanced our consciousness. We can interface with technology, yes, but we remain entirely human. We simply learned to think faster, process more information, and control our creations with the same ease you might move your own arm. He gestured again, and the hologram showed humanity's expansion through their solar system. While you watched from afar, we transformed every planet, every moon, every asteroid in our system. Mars is not a colony. It's a shipyard capable of constructing vessels at a rate you would find impossible. The moon is not a base. It's a weapons platform, one of dozens. The asteroid belt, he continued, is not a mining operation. It's a fortress. Each asteroid has been hollowed out, reinforced, and turned into a defensive station. There are over 10,000 of them. Each one carries enough firepower to destroy a fleet. The council members exchanged worried glances. Mirana's energy form flickered rapidly, a sign of extreme distress among her species. But weapons were not our focus, Chen said, and his tone became almost philosophical. We knew that if we wanted to truly protect ourselves, we needed to understand the universe itself. We studied gravity, not as a force to be resisted, but as a dimension to be manipulated. He pressed a control, and suddenly, one of the Council's cruisers appeared on the holographic display. It was one of the ships in orbit around Earth. The ISS Valor, I believe, Chen said, reading the ship's designation. Crew of 4,000, carrying 50 fighter craft. Class A shields, plasma cannons. Very impressive. Krelix felt his blood run cold. What are you doing? Just a demonstration, Chen replied. He didn't touch any controls. He simply looked at the hologram and thought. In orbit, the crew of the ISS Valor suddenly felt their ship lurch. Alarms blared. The captain shouted for a report. Sir, we're moving, the helm officer screamed. But I'm not inputting any commands. The ship began to glide away from the fleet, accelerating smoothly. It passed the moon in seconds, then Mars. It moved through the asteroid belt, weaving between the fortified rocks with impossible precision. Then it stopped instantly, with no deceleration trauma. Chen opened his eyes in the assembly chamber. Your ship is currently near Jupiter. It will take your engines approximately 6 hours to return to Earth at maximum speed, or I can bring you back instantly. Your choice. Bring them back, Vextar said quietly, his voice defeated. Chen nodded. The ship appeared back in orbit within seconds, perfectly positioned in its original location. Not a single crew member was harmed, but all of them were terrified. How? Mirana asked, her voice barely above a whisper. How did you do that? We learned to manipulate gravitational fields at will, Chen explained. We can fold space, create stable wormholes, and move objects without touching them. We can also do this. He gestured, and his body began to shimmer. For a moment, he seemed to be in 2 places at once, then 3, then 5. Each image was solid, real, not a hologram. Quantum superposition applied to macro objects, he said, and all 5 versions of him spoke in unison. I am in multiple locations simultaneously until I choose to collapse the wave function. He did so, leaving only one version standing at the podium. We mastered zero-point energy, he continued. We no longer need fuel for our ships. We draw power directly from the vacuum of space itself. Unlimited energy. Unlimited range. Unlimited potential. Secretary General Okonkwo stood and took the podium. Do you understand now, Ambassador? We didn't go silent because we were weak. We went silent because we needed time to evolve, time to prepare, time to ensure that when we finally met you, we would meet you as equals, not as subjects. Why? Krelix asked, and for the first time his arrogance was gone. Why prepare for war? We offered peace. You offered subjugation dressed as peace, General Webb said firmly. You came to us with rules already written, systems already in place, expecting us to fit into your galaxy on your terms. But we are human. We don't fit into boxes made by others. We build our own boxes. Amara's voice was cold and clear. You came here expecting to find primitives who would be grateful for your guidance. You found something else. You found a species that had 200 years to prepare for this exact moment, and we used every single day. She leaned forward on the podium. Your fleet is currently surrounded by over 10,000 defense platforms. Each one is locked onto multiple targets. Your shields are meaningless against our weapons. Your faster-than-light drives are currently disabled by gravitational fields we've placed around each of your ships. You could not escape if you tried. Is this a threat? Mirana asked desperately. No, Amara said calmly. It's a fact. We are not threatening you. We are showing you the reality of the situation. You came here with power, expecting to dictate terms, but you are not in a position of power. You never were. Then what do you want? Krelly asked, his voice hollow. We want you to leave, Amara said simply. We want you to return to your council and tell them that Earth is not interested in joining. We will remain independent. We will remain sovereign. And if anyone attempts to interfere with us again, the consequences will be severe. She paused, letting her words sink in. We don't want war. We don't want conquest. We simply want to be left alone. That's all we've ever wanted, but we will not beg for that right. We will not submit to earn it. We have the power to enforce our choice, and we will use it if necessary. Dr. Chen stepped forward one last time. We spent 200 years in silence, advancing, growing, preparing. While you debated about us, we studied you. We know your technology. We know your tactics. We know your weaknesses. And we are telling you now, clearly and without ambiguity, Earth will never be part of your council unless we choose to be. And right now we choose freedom. The message was clear. Humanity had evolved beyond the council's ability to threaten or control them. The galaxy had thought it could breach Earth's silence. But silence had been Earth's weapon all along. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was chaos. Representatives shouted over each other, demanding action, calling for retreat, predicting doom. Ambassador Krellit stood at the center of it all, his purple skin now almost black with rage and humiliation. We cannot let this stand. He roared, slamming all four fists on the podium. If we retreat now, we show weakness. Every species in the galaxy will question our authority. Our entire system of governance will collapse. Counselor Thresh, who had witnessed Earth's demonstration firsthand, shook his armored head. You saw what they can do. They moved our ship across the solar system with a thought. They stopped our weapons in mid-flight. We are not equipped to fight this. Then we get equipped, Krelix insisted. We call upon the full might of the Council. Not 500 ships, but 50,000. We bring every fleet, every weapon, every resource we have. We show them that the Galactic Council will not be intimidated. Mirana's energy form pulsed with distress. This is madness. They offered us peace. They simply want to be left alone. Why can we not respect that? Because they are a threat, Krelix shouted. You heard their scientist. They have technology centuries beyond ours. They can manipulate gravity, fold space, interface with machines using their minds. Right now, they are content to hide in their one system. But what happens in 10 years, 20? What happens when they decide their silence is over and they want to expand? What happens when they look at our galaxy and decide they want it? A heavy silence fell over the chamber. Fear was a poison, and Krelix was pouring it into every ear. They could conquer us all, he continued, his voice dropping to a dire whisper. Species after species falling before technology we cannot match. And we had the chance to stop it now, while they are still contained to one system, and we ran away like cowards. Speaker Mirana tried to restore order. The first contact protocols exist precisely to prevent this kind of escalation. We do not attack species simply because they are powerful. They attacked us first, Krelix lied smoothly. They trapped our ship, moved it against our will, held our entire fleet hostage. That is an act of war. Counselor Iril, The scientist who had analyzed Earth's technology spoke up. "That is a misrepresentation of events, Ambassador. They demonstrated their capabilities after you fired upon their moon base. They showed restraint, not aggression. They showed dominance," Krellix countered. "And they made it clear they have no respect for Council authority. We must act or we will lose everything we have built." The debate raged for hours. But fear won, as it often does. The Council voted to mobilize a massive fleet. 50,000 warships from across the galaxy began to gather, the largest military force ever assembled in Council history. The ultimatum was transmitted to Earth on all frequencies: submit to Council authority within 48 hours, or face consequences. In Geneva, Secretary General Amara Okonkwo read the message with Dr. Chen and General Webb at her side. She was quiet for a long moment. "They chose war," Webb said, his voice grim. "They chose pride," Chen corrected. "They can't accept that we're beyond their control, so they're going to try to force us back into a box they understand." Amara looked at them both. "Recommendations?" "We show them why we prepared," Webb said immediately. "We've been holding back. It's time to demonstrate our full capabilities." "Without killing them," Amara said firmly. "We are not conquerors. We are not murderers. We will defend ourselves, but we will not commit genocide. Is that clear?" "It is, ma'am," Webb nodded. "We can neutralize their fleet without casualties. It won't be pretty for them, but they'll survive." "Do it," Amara ordered. The Council fleet arrived at Earth's solar system like a metal storm, 50,000 ships representing dozens of species, all united in their purpose to force humanity into submission. Admiral Vextar commanded the operation, though he did so with a heavy heart. He had seen Earth's power and knew this would not end well. "All ships maintain formation," he ordered. "Power weapons. Prepare to engage defensive platforms on my mark." The Sentinels hung in space, silent and waiting. The black human ships remained in orbit around Earth, not moving to intercept. "Sir, they're not responding to our hails," the communications officer reported. "They know we're here," Vextar said. "They're letting us make the first move, trying to claim moral superiority." "Orders, Admiral?" Vextar hesitated. Then he thought of his family back on his home world, of the Council that had governed fairly for 10,000 years, of the order and peace that humanity threatened simply by existing outside the system. "Fire," he ordered. 50,000 ships opened fire at once. Energy beams, plasma bolts, kinetic missiles, graviton pulses, every weapon in the Council arsenal unleashed simultaneously. The barrage should have destroyed every human defense platform and scorched Earth's surface. Instead, the weapons simply stopped. Every single projectile, every energy beam, every missile hung frozen in space. Thousands upon thousands of attacks, all suspended in quantum stasis fields. The sight was beautiful and terrifying, a wall of deadly light frozen in time. "Phase 2, Dr. Chen said from his control center deep beneath Geneva. He didn't speak into a microphone. He simply thought the command and it was done. The Council fleet's weapon systems shut down. Not from damage, not from interference. They simply stopped working. Simultaneously, across 50,000 ships, every weapon system became inert. "What's happening?" Vextar shouted. "Engineering report. Systems are fine, sir, but the weapons won't respond. It's like they've forgotten how to fire." On another ship, the captain was receiving similar reports. "Sir, our shields just dropped. I'm trying to raise them, but nothing's working." Across the fleet, ship after ship reported the same thing. Weapons offline, shields down, and then the most terrifying report of all. "Admiral, our faster-than-light drive just deactivated. We can't jump to light speed." "None of the ships can, sir," another officer added, panic in his voice. "We're trapped here." General Webb watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "All Council ships neutralized. 0 casualties. They're just floating out there now, helpless." "Send the message," Amara ordered, a transmission broadcast to every ship in the Council fleet. Amara's face appeared on every screen, her expression calm but firm. "You came to our home with the largest fleet ever assembled. You came to force us into submission. You came believing your numbers would overcome our technology. You were wrong." She paused, letting them absorb the reality of their situation. "Your weapons are disabled. Your shields are down. Your ability to escape is gone. We could destroy every single one of your ships right now. We could kill millions. But we won't, because we are not like you. We do not conquer. We do not threaten. We simply defend what is ours." On the Council flagship, Krelix watched the broadcast with growing horror. "You have one chance to leave peacefully," Amara continued. "We will restore your faster-than-light capabilities. You will return to council space, and you will never return to our system again. This is not a negotiation. This is mercy. Accept it." "Sir, what do we do?" an officer asked Vextar. The admiral stared at the screen where Earth hung blue and peaceful, surrounded by ships humanity could destroy with a thought. "We retreat," he said quietly. "We've lost." But Krelix, desperate and humiliated, had one final card to play. Secret weapons, illegal weapons, planet killers that the Council had sworn never to use but kept hidden for exactly this kind of emergency. "Launch the Omega missiles," he commanded from his ship. "Target Earth directly. End this now." "Ambassador, those weapons are—" "Launch them!" Krellis screamed. 3 missiles, each carrying enough antimatter to crack a planet's crust, fired from hidden launchers on Krelix's ship. They were the Council's darkest secret, weapons so terrible their existence was known only to the highest authorities. They streaked toward Earth at impossible speed, weapons designed to be unstoppable. In Geneva, alarms blared. "Planet killer missiles incoming." "How long?" Amara asked, her voice steady despite the fear. 30 seconds to impact, an officer reported. Chen closed his eyes and reached out with his mind, touching the quantum field that connected all things. 20 seconds. Amara watched the tactical display, trusting in humanity's preparation. 10 seconds. The missiles were seconds from Earth's atmosphere when they simply reversed course. They spun in space, accelerating back the way they had come, targeting the 3 ships that had launched them. 5 seconds. In the Council fleet, chaos erupted. The 3 ships tried to evade, but the missiles tracked them perfectly. Impact. The 3 ships carrying the illegal weapons were destroyed instantly. The crews never had a chance. The rest of the fleet watched in horror as the missiles they had fired consumed their own vessels. Amara's voice came over the transmission again. "That was your line. You crossed it. Now there will be consequences." The Council fleet, humiliated and terrified, waited for humanity's retribution to begin. The destruction of the 3 ships sent shockwaves through the Council fleet. Admiral Vextar sat in his command chair, his 6 eyes fixed on the debris field where 3 vessels and their crews had been moments before. The missiles had been perfect in their justice, targeting only the ships that launched them, leaving everyone else unharmed but terrified. "Stand down," Vextar ordered quietly. "All ships stand down. No more weapons fire, no more threats," but humanity's response was not military. What came next was far more devastating than any battle could have been. Dr. Chen stood in the United Earth Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the entire Council network. 200 years of silent observation had given humanity something precious: complete understanding of Council systems. Every computer network, every financial institution, every communications relay, every single piece of Council infrastructure had been mapped, studied, and quietly infiltrated. "Begin Operation Severance," Chen said calmly. Across the galaxy, the Council's world began to fall apart. The central banking network of the Council, which processed trillions of transactions every second, simply stopped working. Accounts froze. Credits became meaningless numbers. Trade between worlds ground to a halt within hours. Businesses couldn't pay employees. Governments couldn't access funds. The entire economic system that held the Council together simply ceased to function. "What's happening?" Council Speaker Marana demanded from the Council station. "Why are our systems failing?" "It's Earth," a technician reported, his voice shaking. "They've taken control of our networks. All of them. Banking, communications, navigation, everything. They're shutting us down piece by piece." The communications network failed next. Ships could no longer talk to each other except on local channels. Planets lost contact with their governments. The vast web of instant communication that connected 47 species across hundreds of worlds went dark. For the first time in thousands of years, the Council species were isolated, cut off from each other. Navigation beacons, the ancient systems that guided ships safely through dangerous space, began broadcasting false coordinates. Trade routes that had been used for millennia suddenly became hazards. Ships got lost. Some sent out distress calls that no one could answer. Admiral Vextar received a priority message on his personal encrypted channel. It was Secretary General Amara Okonkwo. "Admiral, you seem like a reasonable being," her message began. "You are not responsible for what has happened here. But you are witnessing what happens when someone threatens Earth. We are not destroying your species. We are not killing your people. We are simply showing you that the systems you depend on, the networks you trust, the infrastructure you take for granted, all of it exists because we allow it to exist. Bextar felt his scales grow cold. We have been inside your systems for 200 years, Amara continued. Every transaction you made, every message you sent, every coordinate you plotted, we watched it all. We learned it all, and we can end it all. This is not war, Admiral. This is consequence. The economic collapse spread rapidly. Species that had grown dependent on council trade found their supply lines severed. Worlds that imported food faced potential famine. Medical supplies couldn't be transported. The carefully balanced system that the council had built over 10,000 years was collapsing in less than 72 hours. Ambassador Krelix, aboard his flagship, watched his political career dissolve. Other council members were calling for his arrest. He had brought planet-killer weapons to a diplomatic mission and used them. The 3 ships he had destroyed had crews, families, loved ones. Their deaths were on his hands. This is your fault. Counselor Thresh's voice came over the emergency channel. You pushed for this. You convinced us to attack, and now our entire civilization is falling apart. Krelix had no response. He had been so certain of his righteousness, so convinced that humanity needed to be controlled. Now he saw the truth. They had poked a sleeping giant, and the giant's response was not violence but precision. Humanity was dismantling the council without firing a single shot. On Earth, in the United Assembly Chamber, Amara prepared to deliver humanity's final message to the galaxy. It would be broadcast on every frequency, translated into every language, impossible to ignore. People of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice carried across the stars. For 10,000 years you have maintained peace through the threat of force. You built an empire disguised as a democracy. You told species they were free while making them dependent on your systems. You created order, yes, but it was an order that benefited those who made the rules. She paused, her dark eyes staring directly into the camera. Humanity will not be part of that system. We went silent 200 years ago because we saw what you were. We saw the surveillance, the control, the subtle ways you dominated others, and we decided that we would rather stand alone than kneel together. Across the galaxy, billions watched and listened. You came to our world believing you could force us into submission. You came with weapons and threats and demands. You were wrong. We do not fear you. We do not need you. And we will not join you unless it is as equals, not as subjects. She leaned forward, her voice becoming harder. What you are experiencing now is a taste of what happens when you threaten Earth. Your systems are failing because we want them to fail. Your networks are dark because we chose to darken them. Your economy is collapsing because we are showing you how dependent you have become on infrastructure you don't even understand. This is not permanent, Amara continued, her tone softening slightly. We do not wish to destroy you. We simply wish to be left alone. Therefore, we offer these terms, and these terms are not negotiable. She listed them clearly. First, the Council Enforcement Fleet will be completely disarmed. No species will maintain more than a defensive force. Second, the Council's military authority is dissolved. You may keep your government, your laws, your systems of cooperation, but you will not use military force to enforce them. Third, Earth will be recognized as an independent sovereign system. No Council ships will enter our space without explicit permission. Fourth, a new galactic charter will be written, one that recognizes the right of species to remain independent if they choose. If these terms are accepted, Amara said, we will restore your systems, your economy will recover, your communications will return, your navigation beacons will function, life will return to normal. If these terms are rejected, the situation will become worse. We have shown you a fraction of what we can do. Do not force us to show you more. She stood tall, proud, unbending. We spent 200 years preparing for this moment. We went silent not out of fear but out of wisdom. We knew that one day the galaxy would come knocking. We knew we would have to choose between submission and strength. We chose strength. We chose freedom, and we will never choose anything else. The broadcast ended. The galaxy held its breath. In the council chamber, the vote was unanimous. They accepted Earth's terms. They had no choice. Within hours, humanity began restoring the systems they had shut down. Banks came back online. Communications returned. Navigation beacons resumed their guidance. The crisis ended almost as quickly as it had begun, but the galaxy was forever changed. Ambassador Krellix was arrested and tried by his own people. His arrogance had nearly destroyed the council, and they made an example of him. Admiral Vextar resigned his commission, unable to continue serving a military apparatus that had been so thoroughly humiliated. 6 months later, Dr. James Chen stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station, looking out at the stars. General Webb joined him, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "The new galactic charter was ratified today," Webb said, handing Chen a cup. 47 species signed it. "We're recognized as an independent power now, equal to the Council itself." "Good," Chen said quietly. "That's what we always wanted." "Was it worth it?" Webb asked. 200 years of silence. 200 years of every human working toward this one goal, Chen smiled. Our grandparents made the choice to go silent. Our parents continued the work. We finished it. And now our children will grow up in a galaxy that respects them, not one that tries to control them. Yes, General, it was worth it. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the stars. Do you think they'll try again? Webb asked. In 100 years? 1,000? Maybe, Chen admitted. But by then, humanity will have had another 100 years to advance. Another 1,000 years to grow. We'll be ready. He took a sip of his coffee. Besides, they learned an important lesson today. What lesson is that? Chen's smile was cold. That silence is not weakness. That patience is not fear. And that humanity, when pushed, will push back harder than anyone expects. He turned to face Webb directly. We didn't want to be conquerors, Marcus. We just wanted to be left alone. They mistook our silence for weakness. That was their mistake. Webb nodded slowly. And they paid for it. Everyone pays for their mistakes, Chen said. We just made sure the price was high enough that they'd never forget it. Far across the galaxy on the Council station, Counselor Marana looked out at the same stars and thought about Earth, the silent planet that had changed everything. The species that had refused to play by the rules and had the power to enforce their refusal. She wondered what humanity would do next. Would they expand? Would they explore? Would they eventually decide that the galaxy wasn't large enough for both them and the Council? She didn't know. No one knew. That was the terrifying part. Humanity had spent 200 years preparing for peace, but they had spent those same 200 years ensuring they would never need to beg for it. They had built their strength in silence, and when the galaxy tried to break that silence, they had responded with devastating precision. The galaxy had thought it could breach Earth's silence. They had thought they could force humanity into submission. They had thought wrong. And now, the entire galaxy lived with a new truth. There was a species among them that answered to no authority but their own. A species that had mastered technologies the Council could barely understand. A species that had proven without question that they were not to be threatened, not to be controlled, and definitely not to be underestimated. Earth's silence had ended. But the calm before retribution had given way to something far more powerful, respect earned through strength, peace maintained through power, and freedom guaranteed by the simple, unshakable fact that humanity had prepared for this moment and had won. The galaxy would never forget the day they tried to breach Earth's silence, and they would never try again.